Hey everybody, Mike Iaconelli here. Welcome to a brand new shop video. And we're on the lake today. And I'm excited about this shop video because I'm going to show you the first look at a brand new bait. And this one really is unique. This one really is the kind of bait that can introduce you to a new style of fishing. And it's also a bait that catches really, really, really big bass. Today's shop video, we're talking about the brand new Berkley PowerBait Chop Block. Let me start and just kind of tell you what the Chop Block is. And it is a soft glide bait. Guys, in the fishing world right now, the two biggest trends, finesse fishing with a minnow, utilizing forward-facing sonar, but right behind it, the biggest trend in fishing are glide baits and utilizing glide baits to not only trigger more bites, but trigger monster bites, okay? So the Chop Block is a glide bait style lure, but here's the beauty of it. You ready? It's soft. It's power bait, okay? And that has a lot of benefits versus a normal glide bait, okay? So let's start with the softness, right? This is a true soft bait. And because it's power bait, if you look at it, it's moldable, it's collapsible, right? And that has a lot of benefits. The first one is when the fish eat the glide bait. Dude, glide bait fishing with plastic or resin or wood baits, they're very synonymous with missed fish. Because when that fish comes up and bites it, it can only bend a certain amount of distance, right? It's hard and it has metal joints. It can't collapse. But when a fish eats this bait, ready? Watch. The whole thing collapses in his mouth. Just like a soft plastic worm, right? It collapses in his mouth. So soft plastic glide baits are very collapsible. The next thing that's great about it being soft plastic is because of that collapsibility, it's got better action, okay? As you figure out ways to work this bait, the whole key is this gliding, chopping, S-ing motion, this natural S-ing movement. And if the bait is hard and that joint can only get so far, it limits your movement. But because it's soft, guys, look at the S-ing that can do. Look at the chopping that can do. Because that joint can fold on itself, okay? So soft for action of bait. Soft for castability, okay? We've got three sizes of the Chop Block. We've got 6-inch, we've got an 8-inch, and we've got a 10-inch. But for each size, these things weigh a fraction compared to the hard plastic, resin, wood baits that you need a specialized rod and you got to lob them out there. Guys, these baits are pretty light. They're soft. Because of that, we can skip these baits. We could make roll casts with these baits. We could utilize a lot of the same rods you already have. A lot of benefits to it being soft versus hard. Last but not least, I have to mention, guys, the Chop Block's power bait. So when you talk about swim bait fishing or glide bait fishing, you hear this term called, it's a bait that draws the fish, right? It's an attracting bait. Fish are drawn to it. They're mesmerized by it. They're mesmerized by the action, the profile, the silhouette. And now when they get near it and they're tailing it, you have that scent. When they bite it, they taste it, right? So power bait scent, another great reason soft glide bait makes sense. Let's keep going, guys. I want to get into some of the features and benefits of this thing. Let me show you the three sizes real quick and sort of give you an idea of what I'm talking about with size profiles. So we've got a 6-inch Chop Block. The 6-inch, guys, super fishable. And the 6-inch, literally, you can throw on the same rod The same rod you throw a spinner bait, the same rod you throw a chatter bait or a crankbait, you know, it doesn't weigh anything. So you can use the rod you already have. So 6-inch, the middle size, guys, this is one of my favorites. This is the 8-inch. For its size, very manageable. Basically, I'm throwing the 8-inch on basically a flipping stick. A 7.4 to 7.6 medium heavy action rod. You don't need a specialized rod to throw that 8-inch chop block. I love this bait. And talk about drawing power. This is the 10-inch chop block. And even for this bigger bait, for its size, not a lot of weight. And on this one, once again, guys, you don't need a specialized rod or reel. I'm basically throwing it on a 7.5 to 8 foot heavy action rod. So the same kind of rod you'd be flipping mats with, the same kind of rod maybe you throw a big Carolina rig with. That's the kind of rod we want for the 10-inch, okay? So 3 sizes in 14 colors, guys, 14 colors. And because glide baits have this drawing effect, all the colors on these chop blocks are hand-painted, custom-painted colors. And guys, if you look at them, they're beautiful. They're very much in what I call match the hatch colors. You know, depending on what your forage is, we have bluegill, we have crappie, we have shad profiles, shiner, gizzards, hitch, anything that matches your forage, we have a color for you. Beautiful scale detail, two-tone baits, they're gorgeous. All right, let's keep talking about some of the features, guys. You're gonna notice something that if you know the Berkley PowerBait Nessie, this is gonna look familiar, but we've got the paintbrush tail on this thing, guys. And I'm a big believer. It's almost to me a qualifier to be a great glide bait. You have to have the paintbrush tail. So the paintbrush tail is there for silhouette and profile, but it also gives you a little bit of crunch. Remember I said when those fish get it and it collapses in their mouth. Everything's soft, but they feel a little crunch, a little hard tail. Very realistic, very natural to feel that little bit more rigid tail. Next feature, guys, you're going to see this joint. And the chop block has a single joint. And if I sort of pull this apart a little bit, you might be able to see it. There is a specialized mesh between those two joints. The great thing about that mesh, it's almost like a surgical mesh that lets those two joints stay together. You'll never rip that. But if you look at that joint, the back side of the joint, the tail side of that chop block is wider than the front. Guys, what that surgical mesh joint and that wide edge on the backside does is that is what allows this bait to get its motion. Whether you're slow reeling or burning it or chopping it or doing a combination of all those things, that wide body is what gives this that S-ing, chopping, swimming motion. Very rhythmic, okay? So that joint, super, super critical. All sizes, you're going to see oversized eyes. That was a big one for me, is wanting those oversized eyes on this soft glide bait. And one of the things that fish love to do with a big bait like this is they love to head shot the bait. Especially if those fish are feeding on forage that has a spine, rayed forage, right? Rock bass, crappie, bluegill, panfish, sunfish, yellow perch, anything with a hard spine. Those fish know they don't want to eat it backwards because that could kill them. So the fish are sort of wired to instinctively try to headshot that bait, especially when that bait does that S motion and turns back and does a 180. Dude, they see those big oversized eyes looking at them. They can't take it and they want to headshot it. Very, very unique, guys. And if you know about the Berkley PowerBait Nessie, it has the same harness system up front, but we've added a stinger tail hook in the back, okay? So if you look at it, you're going to see some similarities. You're going to notice that this is a wire harness system with a really, really sharp Berkley Fusion treble. And if you notice, the chop block, like the Nessie, has a little C-clip in the belly. Has this a little clip. And when you get that treble hook, it's got a little slot. You put one of the barbs in the slot, you're going to hear it click into that little C hook. Makes a snapping noise. Now your hook is locked in. But on the chop block, guys, we've got a little stinger system. And this is a huge help for fish that are slapping at the bait, fish that are tail nipping, fish that aren't really eating it out of hunger, but they're reacting to it. You're going to get a lot on this rear stinger. It's a Fusion double-pronged frog-style hook. And if you look at it, it has a really unique little clevis in the hook. And that little piece of that hook is going to fall into a slot. But once it goes into the slot, this is the magic, guys. It's got a magnet on the tail of that bait. So that little clevis goes into the slot. That magnet keeps the stinger on there. So this system keeps the hook harness attached to the belly of the bait. So when it does that, guys, you can skip it, you could roll cast it, you could hit a dock, you could smack something, a bridge piling, and the harness, the hooks are going to stay in place. You know how important that is? Critical. But here's the beauty of this, guys. When that big one eats it, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, whatever, he eats that glide bait. It compresses in his mouth because it's soft. And you set the hook. Ready? Pop. These hooks pop away from the body. When that fish jumps and surges and fights, he cannot use the leverage of that weight of that bait, right? The hooks are separate. So you land a ton of fish. After you land the fish, guys, you already saw me do it. Treble hook in the belly. Hear the snap. Stinger in the tail. Clevis in the hole. On the magnet. And you're ready to go again. You know, a lot of these glide baits, if you've been following this market, especially for these big ones, the 8s and the 10s, guys, you can spend $100, $150, $200, $250 for one bait. Guys, most of these baits in this family come in at under 20 bucks for a glide bait that's easy to use, easy to work, just a great price point. So whether you're an expert at glide bait fishing and you want to buy something that you could lose or change or modify without a huge investment, you're new to glide bait fishing, this is a great price point. All right, one last thing for you, and then I do want to get into the action of the bait, is that a soft plastic glide bait is modifiable. You can modify this bait on the fly really easy. And I want to show you the two main modifications that I make. I'm a big believer in dialing in a bait to the exact forage, adding color, either to mimic forage or adding color to help you see the glide bait. With hard baits, you got to paint them. You got to airbrush them. You got to get stickers. With this bait, it's soft plastic, it's PowerBait. Just use a spike it pen. Orange, red, chartreuse. Add red gills, add blood, add a chartreuse throat to the bait. But especially if you want to watch the bait as you're working it. Guys, real easy to add a pop of color to the back to help you see the bait. So modifiable with color and also modifiable with weight, okay? Guys, all of these chop blocks, every size that we just talked about, These are all slow sink glide baits. So the 6, the 8, and the 10 are all slow sink glide baits. But guys, here is what's great. Because this bait is soft plastic, see if I can find my pliers and show you. Because this bait is soft plastic, we can weight this bait on the fly. So if you want to get down a couple feet, if you want to get below the surface, you want to make it a slow sink, we just add weights to it. If you want to get it extra deep, get it to fish that are in 10, 15, 20, add 2 or 3 weights to it. And guys, all we're doing is adding, show this to you, simple nail weights, guys. These are weights you already have. I'm using lead and tungsten weights from a 32nd of an ounce up to about a 3/16 of an ounce. And I'm just belly weighting this lure. My favorite mod is to add 1 straight to the belly. Look, soft plastic. So we're just going to push that weight in. It just goes right in like a plastic, like you're putting it in a plastic worm. And once that weight is in the belly, it just is flush in the belly. There it goes, guys. And reattach your hook harness, just like we talked about. Here it click. And now I've got a bait that I can modify on the fly. 1 weight is great to give it sort of a moderate sink. 2 weights is great to give it a little faster sink. And 3 weights is perfect to get this bait really deep. So modifiable with color, modifiable with depth. The 3 primary ways that I'm going to fish the chop block, and then 1 magic trick that I want you to learn how to do every time you cast this chop block, okay? So the first way is just reeling it. Just using your reel, right? It's the easiest way to fish the chop block. And because of that joint, right? Got mesh wider in the back. By simply reeling this, we're going to make this thing come alive. But there's 2 ways I'll reel it. When we reel the chop block slow to moderately slow, it will inhibit a wider S-ing motion. So literally throwing it out, letting it hit, and just a moderate to moderate slow retrieve, we're going to get a big S-ing motion. Guys, if you're new to glide bait fishing, that's all you got to do to get it to move. Just reel it slow. Retrieve number 2 that I use, and it's a great retrieve, is a fast, steady retrieve. So instead of slow to moderately slow, now we're going to go fast to burning. And when we pick up our retrieve speed, the S-ing motion is going to get tighter on that bait, okay? So clearer water, if you've got forage that moves tighter like herring, just reel it faster and we'll tighten up that S motion, okay? So slow reel, number 1. Fast reel, number 2. By the way, when you burn this thing, you could actually get it to wake under the surface and it does not blow out. A lot of big resin hard glide baits blow out. The chop block will not. Retrieve number 3, this is a good one, guys. It's called chopping, or I've also heard it called dead walking. And the bait's called the chop block, and literally we're going to chop and reel, chop and reel, chop and reel. It's a lot like if you're watching this video and you fish a suspending jerkbait, or if you walk the dog with a topwater stick bait or Zara spook, you know that boom, boom, boom. That's chopping. And when we chop this, we get this very unique, almost wider S darting motion. The great thing about chopping is that when you reel this, it's constantly moving forward. But when we chop it, guys, it stays in the strike zone a really long time. It doesn't move forward. So chopping, keeping it in one spot longer, a really wide chopping left to right motion. Okay, you heard me say it, 3 retrieves and 1 little bit of magic that I want you to do Try to do it every cast, but especially when you fish the chop block. If you see a fish behind it, try this, and that is getting this bait to actually do a 180. And I can tell you from experience, making a traditional hard resin plastic wood glide bait 180 can be tough. But the chop block, all sizes, 6, 8, 10, does it extremely easy. And the way we're going to get this thing to 180, and you heard me say, when that bait turns around and that fish is looking at it and those big eyes are looking at the fish, he's got to eat it. So it's a way to make the fish react. All we're going to do is whatever you do, if you're slow reeling, fast reeling, if you're chopping, we're going to do this technique to make it 180. And basically all we got to do is chop it, but right after we chop it, instead of reeling your slack in, we're going to chop and we're going to bow to the bait. We're actually going to chop and lean forward to the bait. When we do that, it throws slack into the line and it allows that bait on a chop to go 180 degrees and look at that fish. Even if you don't see a fish following it, if you're around a piece of cover or you just have a feeling or you're in a key area, reel, fast, slow, chop, whatever you do, chop, bow to the bait, that chop block 180s, very natural movement, and the fish can't stand it. They want to eat it. Guys, I have not been this excited about a new bait in a really long time. I hope you enjoyed this shop video, giving you one of the first looks at a really unique soft glide bait. Tremendous action, collapsible, great colors, paintbrush tail, big eyes, amazing joint, stinger system that breaks away, and last but not least, a bait that won't break the bank. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this shop video talking all about the chop block. If you like these videos, hit the subscribe button. Subscribe to the channel. If you're already a subscriber, tell your fishing friends about it. It's Mike Iaconelli on Fishing on YouTube. We're here to hopefully help you learn a couple things, get a couple tips, and catch more big bass.